Good morning and welcome to the 2024 National Examinations Press Conference hosted by the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training. Education Minister, the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, on behalf of her and her executive team and the Examination and Assessment Division, I welcome you, our stakeholders, especially members of the media, this morning. As usual, this morning we will present you with an analysis of the examination data, which is intended to give guidance for forward planning in education. As we begin this morning's proceedings, we invite Vernita Davis, Acting Senior Education Officer, to grace us with prayer.
Shall we bow in prayer? Dear Lord, thank you for another beautiful morning, and thank you for another examination cycle that has been successful. As we gather today to discuss the performance of our students, we invite your presence in our midst and ask that your Holy Spirit superintend over today's activities. Bless all the participants of this morning's proceedings and give us as recipients a listening ear and a yearning heart to receive that which would be imparted to us throughout this session. Bless us now individually and collectively, and grant unto us your peace throughout the remainder of this day. These favors and blessings we ask in Jesus' name, and let everybody say,
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Ms. Davis, for that prayer. I now invite Ms. Donette Ferguson, our Acting Assistant Director of Education at the Examination and Assessment Division, to officially welcome you.
Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, Minister of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, Ms. Sonia Culmer, Undersecretary, Dominic McCartney-Russell, Director of Education, Media Personnel, Ministry of Education Personnel, our virtual audience. A very pleasant good morning. Welcome to the 2024 BJC and BGCSE Examination Results Press Conference. It is always a pleasure to convene, to share with you key aspects of our candidates' performance. These will be clearly and competently delineated by our minister and director. There's always intense media and public interest in examination results, and there are inevitable debates. However, we at the division are confident that there can be no valid debate on the Ministry of Education's clear commitment to the education of our nation's youth. I believe the key point of my welcome is to remind you all that all subjects examined are not designed as pass-fail examinations. Rather, they are all designed to illustrate what each candidate knows, understands, and is capable of doing. Our focus is always on the positive achievements of students at the culmination of major stages in their education, GLAD grades 3 and 6, and lower and senior high schools. This is why, to have a clearer distinction between candidates' abilities, a 7-point grading scale was implemented more than 3 decades ago upon the recommendation of Cambridge International. African-American social reformer Frederick Douglass noted, "It is easier to build strong students than to repair broken men." It is our duty to the Bahamian people to strengthen our youth by ensuring their academic growth. The 2024 candidates deserve recognition for their accomplishment, whether at the A level or a G level. In a world that is one of many harsh realities despite its beauty, the results of many candidates show that they know the importance of education and are stronger for their efforts over the years. Our candidates have spent 3 years preparing to demonstrate their abilities. We must congratulate each of them for their efforts and achievements and never falter in our efforts to build strong children who will eventually become strong citizens, positively contributing to our nation's growth. It is with a warm heart that I once again welcome each of you. You are welcome.
Thank you so very much, ADE Ferguson, for that warm official welcome. As our director prepares to make her presentation this morning, please be reminded that the critical data shared is for the use of shaping necessary policies that will ultimately lead to an improved level of education for all. So I now invite our Education Director, Dominic McCartney-Russell, with an overview or an analysis of this year's results.
And Ms. Lewis, who are at the head table, to all of the executive management, our colleagues, members of the press, good morning. I begin by thanking all of our stakeholders in education for your support in this mission to ensure the educational progress of our children nationally. The national examinations are designed to recognize positive achievement, taking into account varying and different abilities, rather than relative levels of failure. These exams can also be used for matriculation and employment purposes and provide critical and important information for policymakers, educational leaders, school administrators, and other interested parties. Please note that the intent of this report is to provide information that can give guidance for forward planning, remediation, and improved utilization of human and physical resources. It is realized that public examination results have a direct effect upon the education system of any country. Accordingly, the national exams attempt to ensure that the assessment procedures reflect relevancy to the standards that are no less exacting than those of overseas examinations, which have been respected and relied upon for over 80 years. The 2024 Bahamas Junior Certificate Examinations Report. The year 2024 marks the 31st sitting of the Bahamas Junior Certificate Examination since its reintroduction in 1994. 10,745 candidates from 137 centers were registered to sit the examination. 63 were government schools, while 74 centers were independent or private centers. The number of candidates represents a decrease of 1.72% when compared to 2023, which had a total of 10,933 candidates from a total of 116 centers. The total number of subjects offered is 13. The total number of grades awarded in 2024 was 39,424 when compared to 2023, which was 39,965. This represents a decrease of 1.35%. Again this year, mathematics and English language were the two most heavily subscribed subjects. 6 subjects improved this year when compared to last year. They are mathematics, general science, craft study, health science, social studies, and French. BJC, like BGCSE, is designed so that at least 80% of the candidates achieve grades A to G. Candidates continually outperform this expectation as 86.95% have achieved grades A to F. This performance is 0.13 points higher than last year. This year's performance is very comparable to last year's, with cumulative gains at B to F. The percent at U this year is similar to last year. Analyzing BJC performance between male and female, it is noted that females decreased in percentages at A and B. Positively, their percentages increased at C and D and decreased at E to U. While males' percentages may not be as high as females in the upper grades or as low in the lower grades, males actually increased in performance at A and B, which is a contrast to females' comparative performance. Males also this year increased at C and D. The number of candidates receiving a minimum of 5 or more BJCs with C or above. In 2024, a total of 1,388 candidates received a grade of C or higher in 5 or more subjects. This represents 12.92% of the overall candidature. In 2023, there were 1,417 candidates, which represented 12.96% of the overall candidature. There were 1,361 candidates in 2022. The number of candidates receiving a minimum of 5 subjects or more with grade D or above. In 2024, a total of 1,948 candidates achieved a minimum of D grade in at least 5 subjects. This represents 18.13% of the overall candidature. In 2023, there were 1,945 candidates, which represents 17.79% of the overall candidates. The number of candidates who received at least C grade in mathematics, English language, and science. Please note, this combination of grades gives no indication of the overall composition of candidates, nor can any generalized statements be made about the candidates. Every year, candidates sit the BJC examination over multiple settings. We say it every year, but some persons still report otherwise. Because of this, a large number of candidates may not sit mathematics, English language, and science in the same year. This does not necessarily mean that they do not possess the combination of subjects. In 2024, a total of 1,298 candidates achieved at least a C in mathematics, English language, and science. This represents 12.08% of the overall candidature. In 2023, there were 1,402 candidates, which represented 12.82%. I move now to the Bahamas General Certificate of Secondary Education 2024 report. The year 2024 marks the 32nd sitting of the BGCSE examination since its administration, the first administration in 1993. The examination is designed to show what students know, understand, and can do after having completed a prescribed course of study, which normally lasts 3 years. Subsequently, the grades awarded to students are indicators of their achievements in and their potential, and not the sum total of their worth. It is to be noted that there are other factors that have an impact on how candidates perform on the examination. The factors, both internal and external to the system of schooling, mitigate against good performance and ought to be given some consideration when results are being reviewed. 5,935 candidates from 107 centers were registered to sit the examination. 41 were government schools and 66 were independent or private centers. The number of candidates represents an increase of 10.05% when compared to 2023, which had a total of 5,393 candidates from 100 centers. The total number of subjects offered is 27. The grades awarded show candidates' learning outcomes, which were measured in a variety of different ways because of the different requirements in individual subjects. Due to the significant increase in candidature this year, the number of awarded grades increased significantly when compared to last year. There were 20,598 grades awarded this year, and this number represents an increase of 9.99% when compared to 2023, which had a total of 18,727 grades. Of the 27 subjects tested, improved performance was noted in 14 subjects. They are carpentry and joinery, chemistry, combined science, commerce, English language, French, geography, history, keyboarding skills, literature, mathematics, music, office procedures, and physics. The BGCSE examination is designed to cater to at least 80% of the students in grade 12, and it is anticipated that at least 80% of the candidates sitting the examinations would achieve grades between A to G. It is always interesting to note that again, more than 80%, or 84.26% to be exact, of the grades awarded continue to range from A to E, which is now a recurring accomplishment. This percentage is an increase when compared to the previous year and is the highest for this 5-year period. Positively, and in contrast to last year, the percentages at A to C increased and decreased at D to G. The performance of male and females mirror the overall performance at the BGCSE exams. Both males and females have increased their percentages at A to C and decreased at D to G. Both groups of candidates have made significant improvements to better their performance. While females continue to edge out males, males have made a higher increase at B and greater decreases at D and F. The number of candidates receiving a minimum of grade C in at least 5 subjects. In 2024, a total of 653 candidates received a grade of C or higher in 5 or more subjects. This represents 11% of the overall candidature. In 2023, there were 544 candidates that represented a 10.09% of the overall candidature. The number of candidates receiving a minimum of 5 subjects or more with grade D or above. In 2024, a total of 1,009 candidates obtained a minimum grade of D in at least 5 subjects. This represents 17% of the overall candidature. In 2023, there were 901 candidates, which represented 16.71%. And so we see an improvement there as well. The number of candidates who received at least a C grade in mathematics, English language, and a science. Please note again, this combination of grades gives no indication of the overall composition of candidates, nor can any generalized statements be made about the candidates. Every year, candidates sit the BGCSE examination over multiple settings. And because of this, a large number of candidates may not sit math, English language, and science in the same year. This does not necessarily mean that they do not possess the combination of subjects. In 2024, a total of 431 candidates received at least a C or better in mathematics, English language, and a science subject. This represents 7.26% of the overall candidature. In 2023, there were 303 candidates, which represented 5.62%, and so we see improvement there as well. Per the Bahamas High School Diploma Commission's recommendation to expand the pathways to academic success, we would like to note that 163 candidates earned micro-credentials from the American Hotel and Lodging Educational Institute. I want to say a special thank you to Assistant Director Donette Ferguson and the entire examination and assessment staff, our markers, consultant Sarita Clark, for facilitating an exam cycle that was free of any major irregularities. We thank our educators who diligently prepared the students, school administrators, exam supervisors, and invigilators for administrating these exams. To our parents and guardians, we thank you for your unwavering support. To the communications section for organizing and facilitating this press conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director. As usual, very informative on that analysis of our 2024 national examinations. The Education Minister constantly speaks of adjusting our system of education to meet the needs of not some children, but every child. With this being our purpose today, I invite the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin to bring remarks.
Thank you very much, and good morning to everyone here gathered and joining us virtually via our Facebook page. I want to begin by thanking our team, which is headed by the Director of Education and her entire team on the department side, and the ministry, and the Permanent Secretary and her team on the ministry side. I want to thank our district superintendents, our administrators, our teachers throughout the nation, and our parents who continue to support our children and young people. The education process is a collective exercise that mandates the attention, resources, and input of the entire village. This is the important process by which we build capacity and positively accelerate our national development. This year's results are by and large showing promising sparks, which we intend to build on. As it relates to the BGCSE examinations, over a 5-year span, there was nearly a 2% increase in A's, a 1% increase in B's, relative stability in C's, and decreases in D's, E's, F's, G's, and U's. There was a 2.5% increase in A to C grades. Year over year, 2024 was very comparable to 2023. For males, there is a year-over-year increase in percentages for A and B grades, and a slight increase in C and D grades. At the BGCSE level, that was the BJC. At the BGCSE level, A grades increased by over 2% over a 5-year period. B grades increased by 1.5% over a 5-year period. Over 0.5% increase in C's, and decreases in D's, E's, F's, and G's. The BGCSE year over year, 2023 versus 2024, A to C grades increased. D to G grades decreased. Over half of the students received a grade of A to C. By gender, both males and females have improved over 5 years. From 2023 to 2024, females, as it relates to A's, moved from 9.78% to 11.31%. B's from 13.26% to 13.64%. C's from 26.42% to 29.14%. And there were decreases from D to G. For males, the A's moved from 8.10% to 9.2%. B's from 10.72% to 11.66%. C's from 25.2% to 26.92%. And D to G decreased. And we looked at a chart here. I don't know if we show it there, but it shows the centers that have improved in grade point average when compared to 2023. Abaco, Acklins, Andros, Berry Islands, Bimini, Cat Island, Crooked Island, Eleuthera, Inagua, Long Island have shown improvements in their grade point average compared to 2023. And of course, we have New Providence, and it's a combination of public and private schools, but our public schools are represented there. And then I just wanted to refer to the, oh, sorry, my note is in my phone. Sorry. Over a 5-year period, from 2020 to now, we have seen consistent gains, a general increase in A's, B's, and C's, and a general increase in grades D and G. BGCSE has shown the biggest improvement. Both males and females have improved across the board, and 10.5% more students have been recommended to take these exams. The improvement, as I've indicated, is geographically dispersed, and we show the improvements in the BGCSEs. The numbers demonstrate that we have gotten our children back into school, that we are mitigating the effects of the pandemic loss, and that we are poising our young people for success. We are pleased to see the improvements among our girls and boys. And I just want to say, our team has been working so hard. Every school campus, in this ministry, in the districts, and the parents have put in their support. The numbers, we have a number of changes coming, which will build on what we have seen so far, on the successes that we're seeing. And we're going to continue our focus on literacy at all levels, and we will integrate and reinforce literacy in all subjects. We intend to develop critical and deep thinking, and we will speak more about that at a later time. We have a math research project that's now underway. We signed with a firm last week, and this will help us to deepen the understanding of mathematics and to cause for greater thinking amongst our young people. We are working to develop STEM interests through the curriculum and in support programs. Our technical and vocational program, the director referred to the attainment. This is BJC and BGCSE. But many, many young people have attainments in BGCSE certifications, and we are now working on equivalencies to the BGCSE in the technical field. And we hope to be able, the next time we have such a press conference, to be able to speak to that. But our Polytechnic on Wolf Road is underway, the construction is underway, and we are poised for September of 2025 to be able to open that state-of-the-art 21st century technical and vocational center for young people in this country. We are working on the integration of digital literacy in all subjects with our teachers. We did some training, or we will do some training during the summer with teachers, and we intend to work with our students so that our Bahamian children will be completely digitally literate. And we're working on obtaining the necessary devices for the classroom. We've introduced success coaches, and they will be on 15 campuses. They will work with young people who, in particular, who we have identified as needing support, because and we want to make sure they don't fall between the cracks. The success coaches will also work with students on each campus who are high performing, because we know we want to ensure that they are able to, in my words, bust out as much as they're able to in their talents and abilities. So the success coaches on the campus will help us close gaps with our children. We formed the parent unit, which allows greater dialogue with parents, because our research showed that the greatest asset in student learning and success is parental support. And I just want to say this year, we had more parents collecting report cards than we've seen in recent years. So the numbers, so in all of that, I say to you that to the country and to all concerned, that we are committed, we are focused, people are working hard, our students are settling in, and we are working on all fronts to ensure that our young people succeed. And we ask the community to support the efforts of the educators, because we know we want our young people to be better than any of us ever were. And we see some of the stuff we're seeing. So this is such an important enterprise that requires the support of all stakeholders. It's not a political issue. This goes to the core of our national identity. So I thank all of our team members who have worked so hard in examinations, Ms. Ferguson and her entire team here represented. And I believe the best is yet to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister. Every success is worthy of celebration, and we thank you for highlighting those successes of the ministry thus far and the initiatives for future success. At this time, I invite members of the media to ask any questions that you may have relative to our presentation this morning. There's a mic provided for you, and if you have a question, we would like you to proceed to the mic with your question. Let us know where you're from and who you're directing your question to. Thank you so kindly. Oh, wow, we have no questions from the media today? Okay. To the mic, please. Thank you.
Patrick Murphy, ZNS. I know you mentioned the plans for future success in the coming semesters. What do you think contributed to the success, the 5-year high in this current results?
We have put a number of initiatives in place to ensure that our children succeed academically. We would have ensured, first and foremost, that we focused on providing them with environments that are inclusive, environments that are conducive. And so one of the first things we focused on was the psychosocial support needs of our children. We have a program ongoing. We also introduced virtual classes now. Schools already put on their classes for students, but we introduced a virtual class that expanded throughout the archipelago. And so students across, as far down as Inagua, up in the north as well, they all had access to those classes. Our virtual school facilitated that request, and so students had that kind of support. And so they got support in different subjects like science and math, all of the core subjects in particular. We would have also focused more on, as I said last year, experiential learning. A lot of our children got access to the school outdoors. And so they did not only, or they were not only exposed to the theory, but the practical aspect of those different disciplines. And I really have to say thank you to schools management under the leadership of Ms. Janice Morse, all of our district superintendents who put a lot of initiatives together, and not just academic initiatives. We even had an initiative, anti-bullying, by District Superintendent White. We had initiatives where districts were putting on classes for students, and teachers were in the trenches in the afternoons, 8 o'clock in the morning. We visited schools on Saturdays, classes were being held. We visited schools on Sunday, classes were actually being held on Sundays. We also partnered with an organization in Grand Bahama. It's a group of young people. They are students, high school students, and they also provided peer tutoring for our children. So we really sought to, we just wanted to make sure our children had the best that we could offer, and we provided a number of initiatives. And I believe that as a result of the provision of those initiatives and also the dedication of those teachers and administrators, that we were able to see this success.
Thank you, Director. Next question.
Good morning. My name is Candia Dames, and I'm with the Nassau Guardian. Thank you again for this annual press conference. I do appreciate the fact that every year, no matter which minister is in office or which executive team of the Ministry of Education is in place, there's obviously a focus, and that's understandable, on trying to highlight the improvements and the positives. But looking at these numbers, I think we can all agree that they remain dismal, that we remain challenged as a country. Looking at the A to C grades for the BGCSEs, it's gone from 10.09% last year to 11% this year. And as it relates to the subjects that I think are at least a C grade in a science subject, an English subject, and mathematics, that has increased just to 7.26%. And Director, I know you've stressed that not every candidate takes these subjects every year. But notwithstanding all of this, these are very concerning results that I think as a nation we should be concerned about. So I just wanted to ask either the Director or the Minister to highlight some of the very specific ongoing challenges that exist. And I note up here that you have this wildly important goal to increase the graduation rate from 50% to 85% by 2030, which is admirable. But I was just wondering, curious, whether you have set any such goal to try to see a more substantial improvement over time among our students in terms of these very dismal exam results. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Quite frankly, and to be honest, we don't agree with your assessment, simply because, as we indicated, the composition of those subjects are taken over a 3-year period, and so they cannot be compared. And because of that, we note that we would have seen a 3.28% increase this year. As it relates to the challenges, there are always challenges in regards to our children. We have a number of issues in regards to their environments. We have issues in regards to behavior, academic, and so our desire is always to see how do we ensure that children not only have access and that the education is quality, but that it's holistic in approach. And holistic because children are not just academic, they're social beings, they're emotional beings, they're physical beings. And so our focus is always to provide a holistic education. And this year, that's what we focused on. I spoke about the teachers who provided the various classes, but we also ensured that their psychosocial needs are being met. We have engaged a new parent engagement unit because we recognize, and the studies show, when parents are involved, students achieve. And so that's a new initiative as well, engaging parents in a more strategic way, so that we not only create that partnership, but we sustain that. parents have access to a parental portal so that they can see how their children are faring, and they can do some things at home while we're doing our best in our school environments. And so for us, we see the 3% improvement as a success. We are really thankful to our team members for what they have done. And so that may be your narrative, but it's not ours.
Yeah, it's not a narrative. It's not, and to be clear, it's not intended, just to be clear, it's not intended to be a knock on this executive team, on the minister, on the very dedicated teachers out there. But there's speaking of a narrative, yearly there's this narrative that's put out there when it's almost as if we are ignoring the fact that we have a crisis. And these results reflect an annual crisis that continues to exist. And I just hope that my media colleagues are not, for lack of a better word, hoodwinked into going and reporting this wonderful, marvelous story, when in fact these numbers do not reflect that as being the case.
Thank you very much for your advocacy, for your colleagues in the media. I'm sure they'll make their own objective assessments because they're thinking individuals, and they'll make their assessment. But we appreciate your desire to seek to advocate in that regard. We do not accept that these results are dismal. First, we do not. And I'm surprised that we're having this discussion. The statistics show improvement in this country with our BGCSE students and in at least 6 subjects in BJC subjects. The numbers don't lie. That's the first thing. Secondly, the other point is that many of our students pursue a technical track. And so you have to factor into the case that many of our students are not doing necessarily BGCSEs. So the narrative, now that's where I see a narrative, and I wouldn't want to say trying to hoodwink, because I find it very offensive language that's being utilized. The numbers are there. I invite members of the media to look at the numbers and make your own judgment. We have seen improvement in this year, and we are encouraged, and teachers and administrators and this ministry and parents have worked very hard in this country, all over the country, all over, to see these improvements. And so I invite the country to see the positive in what is happening, and we are moving in a direction and in a trajectory that we believe will enhance the outcomes and the performance of our young people. The other point the director made is that not everyone takes the bundle of BGCSEs or BJCs, or not everyone does that in a particular year. Many students take them over a period of years, so it's very difficult to make assertions and assumptions without having the actual data on what is happening in those recurring years. The good news is we've seen improvements. The numbers show that. It doesn't matter what anyone believes or feels about it. Numbers don't lie. We are seeing improvement in the BGCSE in particular, and we're also seeing higher attainment with our male students. And this is a trend that we will build on in this country. And I thank the educators of this nation who have worked so hard to bring us to where we are today. And I invite members of the media to make their own, again I'll repeat that, their own independent judgment, to look at the numbers without a narrative and make your assessment on the direction in which these results are going.
And it is expected. I want to reiterate that it is expected that we see incremental improvements, and I want to really thank our teachers. A to D passes in BGCSE improved by 3.28% from 68.48 to 71.76%. The A to C passes increased by 20%. A to D increased by 11.99%. Mathematics, language arts, and science improved by 7.26% of the overall candidature. This represents a 42.24 increase when compared to last year.
And can I just say, I think I have to reject some assertion that we come up here to show our best face possible. The numbers are there. Just refer to them. But when we see improvements, we see where our students, our young people are working, and we're seeing advances, the country celebrates. We're happy for that because we know that's just the beginning. And so, you know, I'm a bit taken aback, but I mean, you know.
Good morning. I'm Berthany McDermott from Our News. I have two questions. The first question, if the director or the minister could possibly address a concern from a parent or a few parents rather that spoke to some students not getting their exam results in time. Are you able to speak to that on how many people were affected if this is the case?
Good morning. That was brought to my attention about half an hour walking into the, so that's why the minister and director and the undersecretary did not get it as yet. But what they're saying is that we lost two schools' examination. That is not so. What's happening is we do not give individual students their results, their individual results. The results are to the schools. Now, some schools' administrators might not be in office yet. Some schools' principals might not be on the island as yet. So there's all kinds of factors. We did not lose any exam results. And I saw the thing as well, and had we lost them, we would have been able to reproduce them. But we did not misplace any school exam results. That's not so.
Thank you. My next question, you spoke in your response, you spoke to the fact that some students may not take all of their BGCSE, for example, exams in the 12th grade. I was one of those students who took exams in grade 11 and then I took in the 12th grade as well. Is there a way then for the ministry to properly document this, to have a proper assessment then of how many students in general achieve this A to C or D to E, considering, like you said at the beginning of your remarks, Director, that it can't really be a specific or all the way accurate number considering that factor?
And that's one of the strategies that we're going to put in place. We would have had that conversation already. We need to be, you know, if you're a statistician, you know, you cannot compare apples and oranges. You're going to get an invalid result. And so we need to be able to compare apples to apples. And so we are certainly going to put that in place. That we've already spoken to the team so that we would know, did the student take or the candidate take the exam in grade 10? Did they take it in grade 11? Did they take it in grade 12? And be able to compare those apples and apples and oranges and oranges together. And that's the only way we'll be able to say specifically that this relates to one thing, and that gives us a little bit more validity to what we write.
Sorry, lastly, are you able to give, like, is this something that you're aiming to do by the next school year? Okay.
Yes.
We should. Thank you, because it gives more accurate statistics. I just want to say it's been pointed out to me by one of our technical personnel that any learning, the international standard for learning gain is 3%. So we might as well be informed when we are making assessments. And I'm being told that we cannot expect gains beyond that in a year. But it says that if there is a gain of more than 3% in learning outcomes in a year, that is exceptional. Exceptional. came from Ms. Sinclair.
Hey. Any more questions from any members of the media? Well, okay, one more.
While we're out there, everybody, encourage our young people. They're working hard.
My question is not related to the BGCSE results, but it's regards to a school on Grand Bahama. Oh, yes, my question is related to the BGCSE, the national examination results, but we would like to know the status of the school for the junior high school in 8 Maroc. What's the planned date on, is that still delayed, or we need to know, is there a delay? What is the cause of it, and what's the new opening date, if there is one, for that school in 8 Maroc?
Okay, as you know, that school is a Ministry of Works project, and we are the client awaiting for its completion. I am told, and I think I've said this before, it will not be open in September, but I know the Minister of Works has mobilized the contractors, and they should be on site, and we believe that very soon that school will be completed. It's a massive project, and it's just sort of lingered through successive administrations, but the Minister of Works is seeking to bring that to completion. The Staniel Key All-Age School will open in September. It will be renamed in the second week in September. And the McLeanstown, we met last night with teachers and with parents virtually, and they were very excited. The McLeanstown School will open in East Grand Bahama, which was devastated by Dorian, from September. And so we're working very hard, but that particular school, the Minister of Works is pushing, and I believe it will soon come to a final.
Okay, well, it seems as though that concludes today's press conference. Thank you so much, our audience, our members of the press. Thank you to our ministry's executive team, especially our minister, for bringing that insight to close out the day on the international standard of learning, something that we all could take home with us. Improvement. That's what we see today. Thank you so much for being here. Again, members of the media and those of you viewing online, enjoy the rest of your day.